Good morning. Welcome to the Leadership Talks podcast. My name is Wilka. I'm your host. And today I have the pleasure to interview Mark Day. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wilka. Glad to be here.
I'm super excited to interview you because we are going to be talking about technology in hospitality. And talk to me, Mark, co-host, what is it? And I know that you are the founder and you are a developer as well. What is the program and what is the mission for, the 2022 world that we are living these days?
Well, the overarching goal of Co-Host is to be the entire digital journey, really, which is a word that's been thrown around a lot the last 2 years. But we started before that, and it was novel at the time, believe it or not. The entire digital journey for the guest, and for it to be super easy. So for the guest, the idea was right from that first text message, "Hey, thanks for staying at the hotel, click here." The idea was the guest could click, no app to download, and they could do their entire digital journey from check-in to digital key to room control to upgrades to concierge, you kind of name it, all the way through checkout, with a lot of really great kind of efficiency features and like fun, easy to use kind of upgrade paths all the way through. So that was goal number one. And then goal number two was for the hotel to be able to take all of those very kind of proprietary, difficult to integrate systems and make it easy on the back end too, so that it was kind of like a win-win for the guest and then a win for the hotel on kind of OpEx as well.
Excellent. I must say that I love, and I tell people this all the time, I'm a millennial, I'm on my phone 24 hours a day, and I don't like to download apps for anything. The only app that I have, and it's primary that I never delete, is the LinkedIn app. Of course, I'm here all the time. Because, I think for in this world today, I'm making my reservations, my hotel reservations online. I book my airline tickets online. I do everything on mobile, basically. Like the only time that I use my laptop is when I'm working because I have to host Zoom meetings. But other than that, it's like, I don't want to have a laptop. I don't want to carry a laptop around,
That's right.
So I'm very curious to learn how the technology that you guys found, how is that going to be helping, like the guest? Because, I have I have a fun fact to tell you. Like, I was checking in a hotel in Chicago. And I'm like, checked in, me and my sister back in like 2017, before I moved to Washington, D.C. And I got a text message. It was like, "Welcome, Wilka." And I believed, that was somebody, like a concierge person talking to me, because I never had that, in a hotel. Of course, I work for hotels all the time, but at the smaller brands that I've worked, we never thought about, hey, let's implement this bot, and let's make it work. So that was like not my first time staying in a 5-star hotel, but it was here in the US, because I've traveled before to Europe. And I had the same situation, but in the US, that got me like off guard. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, So the program, talk to me, like, how is it gonna work if like it's gonna text a guest and then I can control my room reservation, the check-in, because also, as the other brands out there, you can already check in online and you have your room key on your phone and you're done.
So, good question. And just to back it up for 1 second, just to touch on something you said about how everyone does everything on mobile. It's really funny because, like, intuitively, like, that's pretty obvious and we all know that, right? But it would blow your mind how many hoteliers we talk to, and the first thing they talk about is like how they have this whole segment of guests that don't do that, and that's kind of like the instant pushback. So we still get pushback the same kind of pushback we would have expected to get maybe in like 2010, which is really interesting. And, it's like you do everything on your phone. You bank on your phone. You call your cab on your phone. You get all your food on your phone. Why on earth do you think someone wants to, not have their check-in process, for instance, on your phone, right? So what we wanted to do was not make you download an app. So when you just kind of talked about, hey, there's some hotels where you can kind of check in online and then, use your digital key. I challenge you to name one that doesn't make you download their app first. 100% of them make you download the application. So we wanted an independent hotel, boutique hotels who can't, maybe pay for like this massive build out of their own application to be able to have this technology from day one, right? When they start. I don't care if you're a 26 room hotel that's kind of like family run, or you have like 14 properties as like an investment. We want you to be able to have the same technology that like MGM has, in Las Vegas. And they've spent 20 million or 30 million on their app or whatever that number is, right? So the idea was to like democratize that system. So people already like staying at boutique hotels, right? Because it's like hip, it's fun. Maybe you're a little more immersed in that city or whatnot. So why should those hotels not be able to offer their guests like the same experience? And we would say that the experience is much better. So not only do you get a text message, hey, Wilka, thanks for staying at the hotel. Click here to check in. You click. If we are integrated with the PMS system, so if you don't have your payment on file, if you don't have some sort of identification on file, we collect that and we verify that and we push it to the PMS system. Then when you go to the hotel, it's true on mobile check-in, right? There is no visiting the front desk. You can go right to your room with your mobile key and go right into your room. And then from there, we take it a step further. We allow you to have control of your television, your lights, your HVAC, your shades, your do not disturb, everything in the room from that same kind of room interface. And so it's like you're just utilizing your phone, which you use for everything anyway. And think about how useful all of that is. And then the really like the most obvious play is, since the guest is utilizing this for so many utilities, we know if the guest's in their room, are they watching TV? What are they doing? And then we can, as a hotel, suggest and push marketing to those guests that make sense and are relevant in real time. And that's super important.
Awesome. That's awesome, because I must tell you, I just got back from a trip in Rio, and I had, to get a room key, and, technology sometimes gets to, hospitality, I think, takes time, for people to invest. And, I had to have a key to switch the lights, right? And I know that, I cannot leave the key near my phone because then it doesn't work. So then I'm like, I'm getting so frustrated because I know it. And then I had, to redo my key like 10 times, and, and I stayed there was like 2 weeks. And in the end of the day, like, I don't want to talk to the front desk because I don't have time to stop and be in no line, So I think this reminds me of something that I use at home, like the thermostat, right? Because I'm like, I can control whatever temperature I want my house to be when it's snowing outside and I'm coming home from work. So I think that's amazing. And I haven't seen hotels utilizing that particular system. And if your program can do that, I believe that would be a whole lot of help, because also, working in the hotel and, I didn't do operations per se, but, I oversaw like the costs of, on the budget in terms of electricity and, what can we do to avoid or shut down a floor, especially, through COVID challenge. And then, temperature of the room was a problem, because then we had to go manually on the thermostat and adjust that. So I think the solution that you're bringing, it's amazing. And do you have hotel partners that are already using that system? And what is the feedback that they're giving you? If you could share that.
Yeah, we definitely do. We've got the entire journey implemented in a few hotels. That's kind of our first, we just kind of launched into the world, 6 or 7 months ago. It's been like pretty amazing. And to talk about that, like kind of room control, that room control was like a nice to have at like really expensive hotels, right? You could go to the Las Vegas Strip and like in their nicest rooms, they had these like expensive systems where you can control, you grab the iPad by the bed and yada, yada. I could maybe control the thermostat or whatnot. So we decided, hey, we got to get these CapEx costs like way down, right? So there's no reason to be buying screens when all of your guests are bringing in the latest and greatest screen already, right? And we're able to kind of control all of those devices. And better yet, the ability. So right now, what happens in a lot of these hotels, like you said, you've got some that manage energy by making you put like the key card in by the door, super popular in Europe. And then there's a lot of places in America that do that as well. And then you've got other ones that have some kind of motion detector in the room and they try to manage like the energy that way. But in hospitality, the number one most important thing is like customer comfort, right? Like nothing even gets close to how important that is. Like you do not want your customer to be uncomfortable. So you don't want your system to go, oh, I don't detect motion in here, turn the heat down, and now the customer's freezing or whatever, right? So that happens all the time. We get that feedback all the time. So what Co-Host does that I don't think anyone else does is, remember when I said before, like you have the ability to control the TV and do this. Well, what happens is, since we know you're controlling the TV, we have a much better overall view of if you're actually in your room. Because what happens is these motion systems, someone's just sitting in their bed and like the motion system thinks someone's not there. And so it like changes the temperature, it does whatever. With us, we know if you touch the HVAC, any of the light switches, the thermostat, plus motion control, plus the locks. And so we have a much better idea of whether the guest is in the room. And like you said about the energy management, what we do is we detect that occupancy and then we manage those rooms that are either unoccupied or not booked or not confirmed or whatnot. And so you don't have to worry about any of the energy management. Co-Host does that for you. So the idea is not only does Co-Host do that entire digital guest journey, we also act as a building management system just by default. That you just get it with the software. And on our whole backend dashboard, you can see how much energy is used, how much energy is used with Co-Host managing it. And then you can actually predict your energy bills that way. It's like pretty amazing. We don't talk about it a lot, but it's like this entire building management system that just works on day one.
Wow. So how can I get a fair share of that company? Can I invest? Because I'm going to sign up for it. And I say this because also, you talk about Las Vegas and the Strip and so forth. Like I lived in California and I worked in this branded hotel. It was like by the beach, amazing. And a lot of people back then, like in 2014, I would meet folks in the industry, but also there were like a lot of vendors trying to push the hotel to sign up for the sustainable energy. So I think, Co-Host would be already bridging that gap, right? Because instead of modify everything about your energy system, honestly, I don't know details about, but, just came to my mind that if you can look on the dashboard and see details and data information of how much energy, this floor had, what is the cost of that particular floor had done for you that month, and how can you manage that directly? I think that's fantastic. It's really, really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. We always looked at that. It's just kind of, when we started building Co-Host, we didn't want to be marginally better. We wanted to be 10x better. And that meant being better at multiple different touch points and just different segments of operating a hotel. So energy management was just one of those. And with Co-Host, you're at the forefront of energy management by default.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So also one quick question, because we talked about the integration of the PMS system with the hotels, and fun fact, I also worked in a boutique hotel and we had to do the change of the PMS system. Like, do you have a branch of Co-Host also that has a PM system for like boutique hotels, or is that, something that you might tap into it in the future? How is that at this moment?
We've thought about it. Our idea right now is if you're a boutique hotel and you want to get up and running, you can get a PMS system like Muse, which we love, um, uh, and Co-Host, and like that's it. With those two pieces of software, you can open a hotel day one, and you have just every tool in the toolkit imaginable. We kind of played around with the ideas of like a PMS, but right now we're really working on kind of algorithms to really help those boutique hotels with their marketing, right? Because if I can increase capture of that customer or that guest wallet, I can increase incremental revenue. At the same time, I'm decreasing energy costs. All of a sudden, it costs nothing to have co-host. You're actually making money. And so we really want to get those features really dialed in, and that's going to take the next couple of years, and we'll see what we do after that.
That's amazing. Like I'm really excited that you brought this up, and I have these questions because again, I worked in the industry, and when you're talking about like increased revenue, that's all that we want. That's all that, the meetings
Yes.
we talk about. It's about increasing sales. And if you can cut, me as a salesperson from the hotel, like, hey, do you want to have an upgrade? And just through, a touch on your phone, you can get that upgraded, that extra, $40. I think that it's where sometimes it's missing, because also the training aspect, right? It's not every person at check-in that is interested in saying, hey, we have this hotel room upgrade. Do you want to, it's a city view, it's $40 more. So I think if you have that, as an option for me as a guest, to be like, hey, I want to click here and I want to have an upgraded, that's like really fantastic.
Well, the best part, Wilka, right, is that it's no pressure. That's the best part. That's the thing people don't talk about, but they know, again, intuitively, right? Like if you go talk to a hotelier, you ask them like, how much do you buy on Amazon? Oh, I buy everything on Amazon. But why? Because it's easy. Okay, what makes you think that your guests won't buy more from you if you make it easy? That's really what it's about. So by having those upgrades be just in the check-in process, and think about the number of upgrades you can do, whether it's that room with the city view like you talked about, or it's having a bottle of wine sent to your room, or it's checking out the spa, right? How many times have you been to a hotel, maybe with your significant other, and you go, oh, maybe you're at a really nice hotel, right? Like you're at the Montage or something, and you go, oh man, that spa is going to be expensive. I don't even want to roll in there and like look at the prices, right? But you will look on your phone, and then you'll find out when you get a text that says, hey, 20% off, and it wasn't as expensive as you thought. You're like, yeah, let's book it. I mean, that's just a prime example of, that incremental revenue and it being completely frictionless. There's no one hunting you down trying to sell you the spa. There's no front desk person that has kind of anxiety because they're like, oh, this person looks like they're, a little angry, so I'm not going to ask them and put them on the spot. We just remove all of that friction. It works in every industry. It worked for Uber, it worked for Amazon. And I just don't understand why here we are in 2022, and this isn't just the norm in hospitality, but we're working like hell to make it the norm.
Okay, I think you guys are doing a great job. And, again, I really, I'm very eager to learn further about, technology in our industry. Why do you think that, there is this mentality of back in 2010, right? People are like, oh, my guests are older, they don't use technology. What is your thoughts about that?
It's just cognitive dissonance. I think people it's just, a body in motion tends to stay in motion, right? And so if you're just used to doing things a certain way, think about it. We needed COVID before people started doing mobile check-in. That's crazy to me. You did mobile banking like in 2000. Why on earth would it take like this massive pandemic to make you do mobile check-in? I wish I could tell you why, Wilka. I'm not sure, but there have been studies about the hospitality industry, and it's always been a laggard behind other massive industries. I think hospitality is like the 12th largest industry or something like that in the US. And so we've looked at studies, right? There's transportation, there's agriculture. I mean, there's all of these other kind of like industries out there. And for some reason, hospitality tech adoption and kind of that forward thinking with technology has really lagged other industries. And I don't blame hospitality entirely, because when you start kind of peeling back the onion and looking at kind of the old kind of systems and the stranglehold some of these big tech companies have had on the industry, you kind of realize that I think a lot of hoteliers, they're like promised the world, and then they see that, you know, Oracle's charging them 20 grand a year for like an integration so that someone can control their room. And you're just like, it's crazy. And so we're, you know, trying to democratize that too, to where you should just be able to turn it on kind of like you would connect with an OTA, right? And it should be that easy.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it's, you know, also I'm always, you know, very excited about technology. And, you know, I think the hotels are even like, you know, how I connected with you, right? I never met you. I connected with you through LinkedIn and, you know, sent you a note through another connection that I've never met in person. So, you know, I think how we, right, as people, and we are getting this now on Zoom every day, and how we are getting connected, there's so much more for us to learn in terms of
Mm-hmm.
how we can do business from anywhere in the world, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was telling you earlier, I just got back, you know, from Brazil. I visited my family, but in the entire time I was working, and I've been in
Mm-hmm.
the US for 15 years. To have this ability of work from my home country, and after, you know, I check out and clock out, I'm done with my work day, I can go and have dinner with my family. I'm like, oh my God, this is just, you know,
It's the best.
amazing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
also, you know, to tell you, like, I was, when I was checking out from work and having dinner with my family, I'm looking at my phone to see what's happening in Maryland weather, so I could, you know, figure it out the thermostat of the house, and
Mm-hmm.
checking my cameras as well, you know. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're saying, and I'm super, again, you know, excited, and I hope you guys do well. And further, you know, we on a sidebar, we talk about how I can invest, and let's see. But you know, like, I think it's so true. Like, people are um like, you know, you have to open your mind to new, you know, things and new technologies. And I love, you know, to learn, right, a new technology and a new system that I can do better. You know, like I just told you, I never even thought about, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave the house and I'm going to control the thermostat, you know, from Brazil. Isn't that amazing? Like, you can check in. So how does it work? Like, if I'm a, you know, I'm a guest, I'm about to check in the room and I want to control the temperature. How soon can I do that? And then how does it work exactly?
Okay, so I'll answer that in two parts. So I love kind of what you talked about at the beginning of the question, which was kind of the ability to be connected with so many people and then work from everywhere and then have that family time at the end, and how in as a whole that just makes life way better, right? Same thing here, we were talking about it before, right? We kind of moved out to the countryside, and I'm just as efficient with a nearby airport as I was before, if not more. And I'm happier because, you know, once I'm done, I'm outside with my son on like a farm, right? So like I could have never done that before, right? So I just wanted to touch base with hospitality. Think about some of the business models that are like coming out of COVID, right? You've got companies like, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of like Lanyard Stays. They're like kind of opening their first properties. And these are like hostels in the United States, but that are like super nice, and like they're kind of like probably the millennial and younger crowd who are on their phone. And just think about how amazing like Co-Host would be for that company, right? Like everything's on the phone. You want to stay at a hostel because you're going skiing with like five of your friends. So now you have like five friends in the same like hotel room, and you're all able to control everything and check into everything. Or you've got a company like Y Hotels, which takes like apartment buildings and says, hey, you can stay here for like 3 nights or 3 months or like 3 years. And so you have, and it all goes back to what you were saying about do what you want, work from where you want. If I want to, let's say tomorrow, and actually me and my wife have been talking about this, we were thinking of like Colombia, but it could be Brazil, Colombia, like, hey, let's go really explore South America, and like let's kind of immerse ourselves there, right? Without skipping a beat at work. And so Co-Host makes all of that happen faster. Because if you're kind of a big apartment building, and let's say Y Hotels wants to purchase you and go that route, we just work because we give you all of that regular, just like you're at home, smart home, control thermostat, lights, TV, whatever, experience, just like home, except at your hotel or at your month-long rental property or where you're staying for a year. So our technology just like rolls right in line with that kind of like live work balance, I guess. And then to answer the second part of your question, what's really neat about like the room control stuff in particular, is that we manage it all ourselves, right? So we know, right, that the PMS system says, hey, at 3 p.m., Wilka's going to be joining us. So at that point, we say, okay, it's 60 to, it's 40 degrees outside. It's 52 degrees in the room. Let's preheat the room prior to her arrival. You don't have to control it. It's already being auto-controlled for you. You can if you want to. If you're like, oh, I like it really hot, it's always too cold, I want to crank it up to 72 degrees or 75 degrees. You can totally do that on the airplane or on the Uber ride in, which is really cool, right?
That is amazing. And I'm thinking like, this is like another, it's just amazing because, in Brazil, it's so funny because I was in this co-worker space. I took one day and I was like, oh, I need to get out of my room and seeing other people. And, to book that, it was everything through my phone, the co-working space. And then when I got there, it was a hostel. So, if you let me know if you need any, direction and suggestions for, that type of business model in Brazil, I'll be happy to help. But I love the idea. I know, we are coming to time here, but I would love to have you again, in the future. And how can people connect with you and your team and, get further details?
I love when people just email me directly, mark@kohost.io, KOHOST.io. You can check us out at kohost.io on the web. Those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. And we've got an amazing, also, we know people love going to Las Vegas. So if you're ever in Vegas, we have an amazing kind of like high-end hotel suite that we have that's part of our office that we have vendors or guests stay at actually. And it's got the entire experience live, just right there for you. So like you can demo it online or live. And so it's pretty cool because when people have it in their hand, like on their phone, that's when it really clicks. They go, oh yeah, this is how it should be,
Excellent. Okay. So we're going to talk offline. I might have to take you up on that experience in Vegas.
Yeah.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much, Mark, for being here. I loved learning about Co-Host and I can't wait to experience myself, and I really, wish you much success in 2022. And I hope to bring you back, in a couple months and you're like, Wilka, I have, so many hotels that are signing up for this. I can't even talk to you for 30 minutes. So I love for that time to come for you. And again, I appreciate your time today. And thank you for listening, for, paying attention to my questions here. And do you have anything else you'd like to share with the listeners?
Just that getting that complete customer journey where you can kind of market to them at the right place at the right time and make their life easy. It's doable, it's easy, and we're here to make it happen for you.
Yay. Thank you so much, Mark from Co-Host. I appreciate you. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Have a wonderful day.